Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of Doctor Who, The Armageddon Factor, the sixth and final story of Season 16. Now after the last story, The Power of Kroll, which was an experience, I said The Armageddon Factor had to go above and beyond to help save the series, even though the series had been amazing up to Androids of Tara, but then Power of Kroll just absolutely let it down so badly. Armageddon Factor does not go above and beyond to help save the series, but it is still a really good story. It's got an interesting idea behind it. It does go on a bit too long, though. I'll say that it's 6 parts. It is way too long. It could have been a 4-parter. Okay, the story is basically that there's 2 planets at war with each other, Atros and Zeos, and the Doctor, Romana, and K9 get caught up in the fight between them. However, it seems that there is a third party involved in this war, sort of organising it. As on Zeon, there is nobody there, just a computer, and this mysterious person has had the princess of Princess Astria of Atros captured, and he seems to be controlling its marshal through a device on his neck. So someone is basically pulling the strings. The Doctor then discovers that it's the Shadow, who is a servant of the Black Guardian. The Shadow has been waiting for the Doctor to come and bring him the 5 segments of the key to time, whilst he looks for the 6th, which he knows is hidden in plain sight. And so the Doctor, Romana, K9, and a couple of friends have to find a way to find the princess and recover the 6th segment of the key to time and stop the Shadow from getting all 6 segments and giving them to the Black Guardian, and basically just wrapping up the series, more or less. And it does feel very much like a season finale, as there's a lot of stakes riding on the 6th and final segment. This is going to be the one that they're going to have the most trouble with. Because A, they've got competition, and B, they're coming very close to failing. And yeah, this first 3 or 4 episodes, which centers on the war between the 2 planets, trying to cause a time loop to stop utter complete obliteration, and just trying to find the 6th segment and trying to find the Shadow. It's got quite a lot of good stuff, some fun, entertaining stuff. However, there is a lot of dull bits, a couple of slow bits. It does take its damn time. The Marshal in the first episode is really wanting to get rid of them, or we can tell he really doesn't like them, he doesn't trust them. But then in part 2, he completely changes his mind, and surprisingly everyone goes along with that. Admittedly, this is probably due to being instructed by the Shadow due to his little piece, but everybody seems to be okay with that as soon as he says, actually, I want them to be my friend, not my enemies. Come on, let's work together to have utter victory over the Zion bastards. Yeah, everyone just goes along with it. So it's not the fact that he swaps, he decides not to go off, consider the Doctor and company his enemies. He decides to call them his friends. That's not the strange bit. The strange bit is that everybody goes along with it, basically, without question. Wouldn't get that in a more serious story, would you? In fact, there's a lot of stuff in this story that I find would work really well in a very serious story, such as the Doctor basically having knocking down the Marshall for accusing them of doing something they haven't done. That would be a really good speech in a more serious story. It's still a good speech here, but would still work brilliantly in a more serious story. And when we get to Zeos, when we see the Shadow is a pretty creepy villain. He is really good, and the actor does a really great job with him. And the stuff on Zeos is actually pretty interesting. Got some good stuff. The less cast is able to less of the cast members, less characters, gives them a bit more to do across the episode. And then parts 5 and 6 is on the Shadow's planet. It looks more like a space station, really. Where he's got Astra, he then captures Romana, but the Doctor discovers an old friend, Drax, who is a ton of fun. And Drax helps the Doctor out by helps him out. K9 is he gets a lot of stuff to do. Early on, he was almost melted in the waste garbage chute, recycling thing. In the recycling thing, then he got to talking with the computer on Zeos, and then he got controlled by the Black Guardian for a bit. So K9's getting a lot of stuff to do in this story, and that's really good to see. And all the situations he's getting into across all 6 episodes. Eventually, the Doctor and Romana are able to recover all 6 segments of the Key to Time, and the Shadow is destroyed by the Marshal after a bit of help by the Doctor in changing the targets. And the White Guardian appears to take the Key to Time back. However, the Doctor realizes it's not the Black Guardian, and audiences can spot this easily. For starters, the Black Guardian makes an appearance before then, talking to the Shadow before he died. And secondly, the actor playing the White Guardian here is different from the first time we see him. Now, yeah, you could have actors swapping in between roles, but I wouldn't have said within a year. Not really. I'm sure they could have gone the guy back from the first episode, back in the last episode, to make a cameo as the White Guardian. Now, that is if this was the White Guardian, but it's not. It's the Black Guardian, and change of actor is a very good indication that this guy is not all he seems. Plus, he's also got a black background. So, yeah, eventually we see him become the Black Guardian at the very end. His powers overrun. I do have to say, the Doctor just breaking the time, the detector and splitting the keys up, it is a bit of a anticlimax, considering that we've had 26 episodes trying to find these 6 segments, and how he gets rid of them is just snapping the detector and letting them disperse. Yeah, and this also means the White Guardian can't do his thing when he gets the Key to Time, so he's probably not going to be in a good mood. Yeah, so a bit of an anticlimax, really. The good thing is that because Astra was the 6th segment, she is able to be restored back to her normal self, which is, the Doctor thought the White Guardian would be able to get her back to normal, but not being a segment of the Key to Time. So if anybody's going to go looking for these segments again, they're going to have to find Astra, or whoever replaces her later on down the line. As for the other 5 segments, not sure. Maybe they go back to their original places in space and time. I know Big Finish have done a trilogy called Key to Time, which I think sees the 5th Doctor go out and do this again, try and find the segments in 3 stories, 3 4-part stories, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. So maybe they've come up with other ways for them to find them, but yeah, but in the TV series, it's a bit anticlimactic, just a bit. Considering we've had 26 episodes of doing this, 26, an entire season, and it comes down to pretty much nothing. I mean, they do use the Key to Time to help cause the time loop, but they had to make a fake 6th segment to complete the gap, so that it would temporarily work. That's as far as it goes. Although I did like the Doctor's monologue speech about having absolute complete power now. He's got all 6 segments. That was really good. Turns out he's not being possessed. He might be, but he snaps out of it. So on the whole, Armageddon Factor, it's not the best story, but it's good. It's a decent season finale. The acting is all good. The Marshall is good. Lana Ward is good as the princess. I think she's a little bit bland to start with, but once she gets taken over by the Black Guardian, she's really, really great. And then after being unpossessed, she's still really good. So, yeah, I can see why she was chosen to be the next Romana, where she would improve on her acting and be a worthy successor to Mary Tam in the role. Speaking of Mary Tam, she does one last great performance as Romana, possibly her best performance in the series. And I'm glad to say that although she does get kidnapped, she does get captured and held prisoner, and even sort of what would you say, to have them encased in a glass casing and have electricity attacking them. I wouldn't say torture. Would it be torture? Let's say torture. And slightly tortured as a way to punish the Doctor. Whilst it is the 6th time Romana gets into trouble, the Doctor gets it first. So, yay. Variety. The guy playing Astra's lover, he's good. As is the guy playing the Marshal's second in command. They're good. And Barry Jackson as Drax is just absolutely fun. The character is apparently a fellow Time Lord Academy student alongside the Doctor. So he's another Gallifreyan by the looks of it. Possibly not necessarily a Time Lord like the soldiers. They might not necessarily. The Time Lords seem to be a rank rather than a species, as we get later down the side. Later down the series, seems to be the main species, but there seems to be other Gallifreyans like the army slash Panopticon guards, these engineer guys, the TARDIS engineers, and anybody else they've got, like those savages on the savage outsiders from Invasion of Time. So, yeah, and it's nice to meet another Gallifreyan outside of Gallifrey. And, like I said, Drax is a ton of fun. He's really enjoyable. The best supporting character in the story, though, is the Shadow, as he's a really great villain. He is a very stubborn earlier on, but he is still really creepy and has a lot of great stuff to do. And is really great in his scenes and proves to be a brilliant villain for this story. That being said, it is a shame that they couldn't go toe-to-toe with the Black Guardian. But according to the Wikipedia page, the Black Guardian didn't appear in the final draft. Producer Graham Williams and incoming script editor Douglas Adams, who would take over for that duty for the next series, wrote those final scenes. So I don't know what the original ending was supposed to be. I think that might have been left down to Graham Williams and Douglas Adams, so that final scene might have been by them, similar to the first scene being by Graham Williams and Anthony Reid in Ribos Operation. And so, yeah, a bit of an anticlimax, but oh well. But that being said, but like I said, I liked the Shadow, but and Black Guardian later appeared in those last scenes. But that being said, I think the Black Guardian should have been the main villain of the story. I think that's because we've been building him up so much that I think for the 6th story, he should have been the main villain. At least reveal him towards the end of the story, at the very least. But no, they've just got one of his servants. How good would it have been if he was the main villain? Oh well, we'll just have to wait till the Black Guardian trilogy in season 20 to find out. Oh well. We're going to move away from the Guardians for a few years until then. So, yeah, Armageddon Factor. It's a good story. It's a bit slow, a bit dull earlier on, but it's still got lots of great stuff. And then it picks up a bit as it goes along. It gets better and gets better. I do recommend a break at points, especially between parts 3 and 4. But on the whole, it's still a really good story. Has a good stuff. Lots of good stuff. And the last two episodes were really enjoyable, especially with the presence of Drax and also the Shadow playing mind games on the Doctor. That's really good. As well as also on Astra's lover. But with his case, I can clearly see that Astra's a projection over there of some sort, as opposed to with the Doctor, where the mind games are brilliantly edited. And great sets, by the way, whilst I'm talking about that. It's great sets and great editing for the most parts. Although I did get a bit fed up with them talking with the time loop, just going over and over. Yes, I know it's a time loop, and yes, it's getting bigger. Yes, I know. You don't have to remind me. But on the whole, Armageddon Factor, good story, bit long, bit draining, but if you take a break, you might feel a bit more re-energized later on, especially in the last two episodes. But a disappointing climax to the overall season, not the story itself. I'm talking about the very ending with the Black Guardian and the Key to Time. It's a disappointing end, anticlimax to this season-long story. To be honest, I don't know what they would have done instead, but it just felt a bit anticlimactic. I don't know. I don't know what the plan was. If this was always going to be the case, with the Black Guardian not originally going to be in the script, I don't know whether this was going to be the original plan or not. But still, Armageddon Factor itself is a really good story. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Good story, good ending to the series or season, but anticlimactic finale, final anticlimactic climax at the very end. But still a good story. It's also not the best story to end the season off, but it's not the worst by any stretch of the imagination. It's still really good. And story-wise, I think it's slightly better than last season's. But that being said, it's not the best, as I mentioned. It's not one of the best season finales. Even longer season finales like Evil of the Daleks can sometimes be better. So yeah, that was the Armageddon Factor. That was good, and also the end scene features the Doctor and Mana using a randomizer to travel basically anywhere without having no idea where they're going, and I like how Romana is basically slagging off the Doctor for that. Before she realises the Doctor has placed this randomizer thing, she's basically just slagging the Doctor off for not knowing where they are, full stop. And then she realises, oh, we got a randomizer. Okay. So yeah, now that they've got the randomizer, they can basically go anywhere without knowing at all, let alone not just leaving the TARDIS to her own device. It's just completely random. Then why does it feel like some of the stories next season and afterwards feel like they've gone there directly, such as in City of Death and Sharda? Then again, they're just Douglas Adams stories, so. As for the other ones, we'll see how it goes for next season. I certainly know the first story definitely follows this randomizer idea. And that next story is, of course, the next Dalek story. Yes! Destiny of the Daleks. Oh, the potential weakest Dalek story of the classic series. Potentially. Oh, fuck it, it's Dalek story. It's at least going to have some good stuff in it. Isn't it? Yes, it's a Dalek story. Okay, thank you for watching my review of the Armageddon Factor. And next up will be the Season 16 ranking. After that, we will start Season 17, which is potentially my least favourite season of the entire show. It's Battle 24. But we'll be starting it with Destiny of the Daleks. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. Now, Armageddon Factor. Does this story go above and beyond? Now, after the last story being absolutely, does the Armageddon Factor go above and beyond? Hell, and they're able to try and get and become another great, and become another. But before that happens, the Doctor gets in this situation a few episodes earlier on. So, yay! So, according to the Wikipedia page, the Black Guardian wasn't before she even realizes what the Doctor's what the Doctors have done, and